Guys, we have waited so long for Call Down the Hawk, and I have finally found the time to read it. I have so many things to say, so many thoughts, so many feelings, and I'm not entirely sure I can express them all, but I'm sure as hell gonna try. Heads up, this is not a spoiler-free space, but that being said, I'm still gonna try really hard not to ruin the plot for it if you have not read the book yet. So, Ronan is a dreamer. His dreams become reality. His dreams are reality. And his younger brother Matthew is one of these dream things. But their older brother Declan, he's just trying to keep the family together. He's trying to run interference with the real world while protecting his younger brothers. But at the same time, he seems to have found a new desire for something more. Ronan struggles in his life. For him, his family home, the Barnes, used to be a haven, but now it feels more like a trap, like he's in a prison. And Adam is so far away. Not only do you have the Lynch brothers, but there are two new female characters, Jordan Hennessy and Farooq-Lane. And guess what? You don't hate them. They each have a depth and a goal that drives them as human beings. They are people you can relate to and people to empathize with. The story is filled with the same mystery and suspense that brings about that yearning for adventure that's captured in the Raven cycle. Except this time, we're going darker. Who is the Dark Lady? Who is this mysterious man that has appeared in Ronan's dream? The world is going to end, but no one knows who is going to cause it. And there are a group of people who will stop at absolutely nothing to prevent it. I'm pretty sure Ronan just wants to cocoon himself in bed with Adam at this point and forget the rest of the world. But you know what? Too bad. That ain't gonna happen. If you enjoyed Maggie Stiefvater's The Raven Cycle series, then you're going to enjoy this book. It is both a continuation of a beloved series, but a fresh start as well. If you ever wanted to know more about the Lynch brothers, why Declan is the way he is, how being a dream affects Matthew, or the toll being a dreamer takes on the mind, body, and soul, you're definitely going to want to pick up this book. It's possible to read Call Down the Hawk without any previous knowledge of the Raven cycle. But at the same time, having read the previous series, it adds a whole new level of depth to the story. You can actually see the growth of the characters. They're no longer teenagers, they are young adults. Declan and Ronan aren't trying to kill each other on sight anymore. In fact, Ronan actually takes the time to open a protein bar while his brother Declan is driving because he can't. More importantly, they are traveling together. Gansey and Blue are felt, referenced, and occasionally called on, even if they're not seen. Adam and Ronan seem to have found their stride together as a couple, despite the fact they are separated by hundreds of miles. They have their own lives, but they still find time to spend together, and no one's needs are more important than the other. But you still do crazy things when you're in love, like driving the hundreds of miles that separate you on a strangely dreamed motorcycle that doesn't use fuel, just so you can take your boyfriend's clothes off on his birthday. Most importantly, we get to see Ronan in his element. He finally seems to have a grip on his abilities. Maggie Stiefvater has a unique voice, and it is very easy to lose yourself in her words. She really understands the internal struggle of all of her characters. What drives them? What makes them an individual? No two characters are flat, boring, and forgettable. You can find someone to relate to no matter what, because no two characters are the same, even if it seems like they should be. We get a more vulnerable side of Ronan, one that seems softer, and this is definitely Adam's influence working miracles. But don't worry, he is still all sharp edges and biting sarcasm you could cut yourself on. You can lose yourself in the complexity of the relationships. Genuine conflict and resolution is brought to life on the pages, without falling into the trap of using them as a crutch for the plot and driving conflict for the narrative. Familial, platonic, and romantic, it's an exploration of family and found family. The world feels so real, and the characters are people you could know. It's a study of morality and individuality within a modern fantasy. Call Down the Hawk is a well-crafted world written with love, and the author clearly knows and loves each of her characters. She has managed to create fiercely fantastic girls with strength and character, but at the same time, vulnerable boys that don't fall into toxic masculinity. This story is unapologetically queer, and at the same time, it doesn't over-sexualize or hypersexualize the relationship between Adam and Ronan. Better yet, it's completely commonplace. At one point, Ronan casually drops into conversation that he is dating another man, and there's no reaction. It's simply treated as fact. Beyond your usual ups and downs in any healthy relationship, there is no drama, which is refreshing for a young adult novel. One of the drawbacks of having so many characters within a narrative is that nobody takes the back seat, and this slows down the plot considerably. In fact, the pacing of the book sometimes comes to a grinding halt, and yet at times just blows past you so fast that you find yourself a little lost and confused. At first, the individual characters don't seem to connect. They all seem to be chasing their own goals, which lends itself to a bit of confusion. However, by the end, they are so tightly intertwined that it's easy to forget the initial confusion. It's a lot like the Raven Boys. It starts out a little slow and a little meandering. It takes a little while to get to the meat of the story. But that's because it has to introduce so many characters, which is a common problem when it comes to creating any ensemble cast. Trust me, it's a problem I've come across in my own work many times. Hopefully the second book will hit us with a bit more action and adventure right out of the gate, like it did with Dream Thieves. Overall, I definitely give this book 4 out of 5 stars. If you are a fan of young adult fiction, this is definitely a book you're going to want to pick up. Modern fantasy is taking the world by storm, and I highly suggest reading this. As I said before, you don't have to have read the previous series to understand this novel. It just brings an extra level of depth to the characters that you wouldn't have otherwise. So that's it for today. If you think there's anything out there that I should take a look at and review, let me know in the comments below. Have you read the book yet? What are your thoughts and feelings on the characters? And where do you think it's going to go in the next book? Well, that's it for now. Cheers!